If you're looking for an opening to use against everything for black, I have a solution. It gives a quite easy to understand plan, despite or more exceptions than other openings, but I guarantee you'll be fine with it. I present e6. And, by now, what's your plan? The plan is based on the aim of the opening, destroying white's center. First, you push your d-pawn. This way, you challenge the center to your opponent. You may even go c5, but there are many exceptions to this move. After that, develop your queen to b5 to prevent white's bishop from developing, and your knight to c6 to put pressure the d-pawn. At this point or a bit further, you may have to trade the pawns to make sure your queen is safe. Then, try to develop your other pieces on the 7th rank to make room for casting, and you will be fine. Unless you neither know where or when you should castle. Castling on the king side is always an option, the only thing to consider is a more active move, but can you actually castle on the queen side? Well, if you really want to do so, there are 3 requirements you must fulfill. The b and a pawn mustn't have moved, otherwise there will be a weak square around your king, which is not good at all when you want him to be safe. Moreover, if the c-pawn didn't move, you are fine, but if he moved, make sure your dark square bishop is on this diagonal and that the pawn chain is still alive in order to lock the diagonals that your opponent would like to use to attack your king. The final condition is to look for better moves, or, at least, if it's not a blunder. For example, castling on the queen side in this position puts your king on an open file, which is absolutely awful when you want him to be safe, and that's why you should put your rook on the open file instead. Now, let's talk about all the exceptions. If your opponent pushed his c-pawn, it's not a good idea to push your d-pawn because it makes white's center stronger. If it happens, you may try to develop your bishop on fianchetto. The same rule applies to the other bishop, despite the fact it never happens, because he has more squares to go on. Also, if you want to push your c-pawn, your e-pawn must defend your d-pawn. Otherwise, if white traded the pawns, the d-pawn will be alone and you're more likely to lose it. By now, you are ready to face the opening, but what about the mid-game? Just follow this simple sentence: destroy white's center. If you weaken white's center, he won't always be able to defend his pawns enough and you will probably win them. But how do you attack the center? That's the point of my next video, so don't worry, you will soon be able to destroy a center. In the meantime, consider watching my others tutorials in case you play as white, and have a great match.